this in a while. Thank God the playoffs. We need a round of applause, everybody. We need a round of applause. We need a round of applause because today, ladies and gentlemen, is a great day. It's a beautiful day in the NASCAR community because we have finally, as Braden Bunch has said, the playoffs are gone. You can get an amen, CB, because the playoffs are finally gone. Kind of. Sort of. Not really. It's, well, before we get started, how's everyone doing today? It's been a while. When was the last stream that I did? I want to say it was at least a month or two ago. No, the last stream I believe I did was when I was doing iRacing for ASCA, and I did the truck race at Mexico, which ever since then I've only done one race since then. That was Pocono. I ended up crashing out of that anyway, so if you want to know how that went. But yeah, today was arguably one of the most important days in the sport's history. Because what's the championship going to be? And if you see me like looking in the background or like behind the camera, if some of you who may not know, I have a puppy now. I got him back in October, so he's currently on my bed destroying his beer bottle toy. So if you see me looking in the background, it's probably just to see if he's doing anything foolish. And if you guys want to see the puppy, I can bring him on later on, or possibly now if you guys want to. But yeah. So ever since really last year, when at the end of Phoenix in 2024, NASCAR hinted that there could be a change to the format, everyone has been kind of thinking, oh, well, what kind of change are they going to do? Are they going to keep it the same? Are they going to get rid of win and you're in? Are they going to, are they going to go back to a 10-race chase, full season, 3 through 4? There were so many different, scenarios out there to what NASCAR can really do. And why is my dog looking at the ceiling like there's a giant spider up there? Which there is not. There's just my fan. But anyway. So, I have a few... Now, obviously, we know basically the chase is back. They got rid of the playoffs, literally the playoff branding, and they've now said we are back to the chase. Which... I want to talk about that real quick before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this. Shout out to Coy, by the way, who made this amazing article detailing what the new chase is. It's basically what it was from 2004 until they did the wild cards. But I do want to say one thing, and it might be a little bit of a hot take. Well, not a little bit. In NASCAR, there is no such thing as a little bit of a hot take. It's a hot take or a cold take. I think that NASCAR should have stuck with the playoff branding. Because let's be honest, folks, it doesn't matter if it's called the chase, the playoffs, whatever you want to name it. This championship format is a playoff type of format. You're having a reset. You're essentially downsizing how many championship contenders there are. And you're basically saying, yes, this is NASCAR's version of a postseason, though they really don't have a postseason. NASCAR season is 36 races. It just happens 10 of them are the chase, aka playoffs. But why I say I think they should have kept the playoff branding is because it's easier to get a casual, on the idea of, okay, these are the playoffs. When you tell a casual, oh, hey, this is the chase. What's the chase? Oh, it's NASCAR's version of the playoffs. Why didn't they just call it the playoffs then? Well, it used to be called the playoffs, but then they went to chase. Now, do I think chase sounds more, do I like the chase more than playoffs in terms of a branding, like how it sounds? Me personally, yes, I do. And I believe the majority of fans do as well. But from a branding perspective, because again, this is essentially a postseason, I personally think that having playoffs, it just makes more sense from a looking at the overall sports landscape, not necessarily just NASCAR. I think it would have been better just say, hey, these are the playoffs. People know what it is. If you call it chase, you kind of got to do a little bit of explaining. And my philosophy has always been racing is complicated enough as is. Anytime you can simplify it, you should take advantage of that. But that's just me personally. What's up, Dash? Playoff branding has too much hate associated with it in the fan base. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, you probably kept the playoffs to say, oh, just call it the chase. Yeah, there's probably something to do with that as well. Casuals don't watch racing for the championship battle. People don't understand that statement. They watch for the racing. That I agree with. But the car sucks so bad you have to give people something to talk about. LOL. Yeah, that's true. Next, can we fix the car? So, yeah, again, that I agree with. I mean, that's what's always bothered me so much about the... And you know what? We'll get to... Before I give my overall thoughts on, all this, I have one complaint. And it's a good thing that they did. But NASCAR doing this kind of... It's a good thing, but it also triggers me because I'm just going to show you right here. I'm going to show you. So, obviously, we got the seating. I believe Coy put it here. Let's see. This is the first time I'm taking a look at this article, by the way. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see if we can find it here. Okay, so it's not here. 26 races. Okay, here we are. Across the 3 series, points will change, and a win is now worth 55 points instead of 40, and the rest of the field receives the same as before. So, what I'm talking about specifically is a win is now worth 55 points. So, I have been... Yes, 16 driver field. Thanks, CB. Appreciate you. I have always stated that if any of you remember back in 2003, 2004, I was 3 years old when the first chase was in 2004. So obviously I don't really remember, but I could put 2 and 2 together. Not every year is going to be 2011, 2012. You'll have a blowout like 2008 and 2009. Trust me. I'm going to hold off on my statement here real quick. And I want to touch on something here from JGR for life. I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. We're saying you're going to have a blowout like 2008 and 2009. The reason I say that is because the field is closer than it's ever been. I mean, look, as many of you know, I'm not a big Riley Herbst guy. I think he has no business being in a cup car, but Riley Herbst is a better driver today than 35th in the standings was back in 2008, 2009. Riley Herbst would I don't know who was 35th, 36th in the standings at the time, and I guarantee you Riley Herbst would demolish him. And I'm someone who doesn't think Riley Herbst should even be touching a cup car. So, the reason I say that is, again, the field is closer than it's ever been before. And I'm not even taking into account the fact that we drive a spec car now. You add that into the fact the field is closer than it's ever been from a talent perspective, besides SVGA road courses, and the fact that we drive a spec car now. Because of that, I wholeheartedly believe we're not going to see 2008 to 2009 seasons anymore. I mean, just look at this year. Yeah, you might have a stretch where a guy might be ahead by like 60, 70, 80 points, but then we've seen how quickly that could just evaporate. Look at William Byron this year. He had a huge points lead for most of the summer, and then that quickly evaporated before even the playoffs began. The field is so close that I don't think that you're going to see guys really just pull away to these 50, 60, 70, 80 point margins of victory at the end of a season. Now, middle of the season, beginning of the season, even a third of the way through, 2/3 of the way through the season, yeah, that can happen. But throughout race 1 in February to race 36 in November, I just don't think that's going to happen. Because again, I think the field is so close nowadays that it's just not feasibly possible to do so. Because again, the field has never been closer to Kyle Larson. If Kyle Larson, your defending champ, by the way, is the cream of the crop in terms of talent, I think the field has never been closer to him than ever before. I mean, Chase can beat him. Byron can beat him. Bowman can beat him. Hamlin can beat him. Everyone can beat each other. That's why Eric Estep, he stated it multiple times on Out of the Groove where, like, what was it, like 10th to like 30th or 14th through 30th? Like, you could swap those positions like that. And even nowadays, I mean, like, yeah, maybe first through second, you can't really swap, but think about third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. You could swap those positions around as well. I mean, think about it, guys. 16 drivers in the field. Now, obviously, it's more consistency-based, less winning-based, but even then still, you could probably name 20 or 25 drivers who could realistically make the chase. That is how close the field is. So I personally don't think we're really going to see we might get a 2008 to 2009 like once in a while because, it's racing something. It's going to happen eventually. But I think they're going to be more rare and less frequent than they were back in the early 2000s and the 2010s. But that's me personally. Casuals, not every year is going to be, we talked about that. I wouldn't mind a blowout. If the driver is good, they deserve the championship. Pelot's championship wasn't the most interesting, but it was the most deserved. You see, Dash, here's my thing. If a driver's just going to straight up dominate the field, I want to see them break records. Like when Pelot was waxing everyone back in 2025. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is boring. Oh, it's another Pelot win. Again, my brain is maybe a little bit wired differently than other people, in that sense of just how I view things. But it's like, I'm thinking, oh, what record can he break this year? Can he catch that record? Oh, he got it. Can he get the another one? And another one? And another one? It's like even Max in 2023 when he won 19 out of 22 races, I believe, or 23, one of those two. 22, I believe. I was paying attention to what records are he going to break. I want to see him break the most wins in a season. I want to see him break possibly the most podiums. All of that. I'm paying attention to what records he's going to break. So if you have a dominant season, don't pay attention to, oh, he's winning again. Oh, he's finishing top 5 again. Pay attention to what record is he close to breaking. That's what really gets you to appreciate just how good of a season that is becoming. The drivers that were both in 35th in points in 2008 2009 were Sam Hornish Jr. in 08 and Scott Speed in 09. Yeah, Riley Herbst demolishes both of them. He would demolish both of them, in my opinion. NASCAR, appreciate that, CB. JJR for life. NASCAR fans hate dominance. They take a look at Corey Heim. I don't understand it. I didn't see a lot of people really hating Corey Heim's dominance. I'm going to be honest. Which shocked me. Now, it's the trucks, so not as much attention is being paid to trucks as it is compared to, Xfinity and Cup. But I didn't really see many people complaining about Corey Heim. In fact, I saw people appreciate just how great he was that year. Again, 12 wins. Led 40% of the laps that year. The 7-wide move to win the championship. I saw people appreciate Heim more than just... I saw a few people here and there be like, oh, it's Heim again. But I didn't see it as much this time. It's not his fault that everyone else sucked and didn't help he was driving a Toyota. He'll be all right. He should be in that 35 car. We'll save ranting about that for another day. Okay, back to what I was originally going to talk about, which is his 55 points. So I have stated for as long as I can remember that if back in 2003, if NASCAR would have just given the winner of the race more points and a substantial amount of points, there would be no point in a playoffs format. Because, we don't want someone to just pull away from the entire field. Or just someone win one race and lock up the title a race early. Something like that. Well, here's my monitor that's showing this. Dual monitors, by the way. 55 points. Second place gets, 35. 20-point difference between first and second. And this is what bothers me. NASCAR is acknowledging, This is how we make winning more important. You know, the main thing everyone complains about with full season is that, oh, winning isn't going to mean more. You have a 20-point difference now between first and second. You made winning matter more. So why do we still need a playoff format? Now, look, I know the reasoning for a playoff format now is different than it was back in 2004. I get that. But it always comes down to the foundation. Like, it doesn't matter how many remodelings you do in a house. It doesn't matter how many remodelings you do in your kitchen or your apartment or even at your workplace or anything like that. The foundation is always going to have to be the same. And the foundation of the playoffs is we don't want someone to just run away with the championship who barely wins. Sorry, Chase Elliott fans. No one wants to see Chase Elliott win the title when he only wins once or twice a year. No one wants to see that. I'm sorry. So that is the foundation of the playoffs in NASCAR in general. So why, if we fix the initial problem, do we still need a playoff format? Playoff chase, it doesn't matter. What is the point of it? Because then I go back to it. It's like, well, it's something that I learned this year is that I always ask, what's the point of the playoffs besides entertainment? There really is a second factor. My good buddies, Corey and Shazane, you've seen them on the cut line. You'll see them again this year, hopefully. The point of that is marketing. It's easier to market something as like a chase race or a playoff race, or, you're a playoff driver, you're a playoff team, you're a chase team. Which, again, that's why I'm kind of surprised they went back to the chase and didn't kick the playoffs, because, at least in my opinion, I think it would be easier to market something as with a playoff banner rather than a chase banner. Because, again, you go back to chase and you're like, well, what the hell is that? You give it a playoff banner, you're like, oh, okay, I know what that is. There's a prestige to it. But again, I'm a full season guy, so when I see this and it's like, we were so close, but why? That's just me personally. See in the chat here. I hated Heim for wrecking Hosemar, costing Enfinger the championship. That's fair, Dash. Roger Trout 76894. Cup 16 drivers, 10 races. O'Reilly 12 drivers, 9 races. Trucks 10 drivers, 7. Okay, that's interesting. So Xfinity has 2 extra playoff races. I'm going to keep calling it the playoffs in the same way I'm probably going to keep calling the O'Reilly series the Xfinity series until eventually it just clicks. Like, hey, don't call it that anymore. It's nature. Kamui, what are you doing? My dog is having a stare down with my charging cable. But yeah, so the O'Reilly series used to have 7 races. It was round of 12, round of 8, and the championship. I'm about to bring this dog over here. You're about to hear barking. But yeah, so now they have 9. So that's interesting that they added an extra 2. Trucks is the same at 7. Hold on. Here, you're going to see the people. Come on, because I don't know what you're barking at. All right, everybody. He's a little bit bigger now than he was when I got him. Oh, that's my iced coffee. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's the dog. Here's the barker. His name is Kamui. He's very clueless right now. He's like, can you please let go of me? All right. Yeah, you're too big for this. I tried. What's the dog doing? He was literally barking at CB. He was literally barking at my charging cable. That's what he was doing. So I don't know. Oh, what is it, buddy? Yeah, that's the PC. That's the PC, baby. Oh goodness. No, not the nibbles. He likes to nibble. All right, get out of that corner. Here, I'll just keep you right here for now. CB, the only people that hated Corey Hines' domination was a friend of mine, and besides, he was trying to harm himself because he kept dominating. Thank God I stopped him from doing that. Oh, that we don't want people harming themselves, so let's not have that. Come on, leave the. You know what? Have fun. Do what you want to do, dog. Life of having a 5-month-old puppy. JGR for life. If NASCAR wanted to go back to its roots, the lower divisions should be full season. If NASCAR really wanted to go back to its roots, JGR, all series would go back to full season. I think 2023 Phoenix show why the lower series aren't ready for a postseason. I think they're ready for a postseason. They're just not ready for, and no series should be ready for a elimination rounds, winner take all. That's what I think personally. I also could get behind this format, and we have a few. The dog. If NASCAR would have chose a full season, this is from Lionel Next Studios 0.282. If NASCAR would have chosen a full season point system again, would have worked in the current amount of races this decade? Yes, it would. People who say that it's outdated, I don't understand that. Yes, there's a lot of races, 36, but NASCAR literally did that from 2001 to 2003. It's been done. It could probably be done again. I know other series like F1 and IndyCar, they have a substantially shorter amount of less amount of races than NASCAR, but it can still be done. Do not let anyone tell you it can't. What's up, Raging? How we feeling about the format, guys and gals? I mean, I've stated I like it. The only thing that bothers me is, again, we fixed the problem. So, again, playoffs are still kind of useless. They're pointless. But you know what? Meet in the middle. I don't hate it. And let me tell you guys something real quick before we play this little game that I want to play with y'all. For the first time in, I don't know how long, I really feel like the sport is, I feel like the sport is actually starting to head in a really nice direction. The teams are healthy now because of the lawsuit. I'm not happy it took a lawsuit to get us there, but the teams are now healthy. They're getting more money from the sanctioning body, permanent charters. If the teams are healthy, the sport is going to be healthy. If you want a playoff format, this is as good, in my opinion, as you could get with a playoff format in motorsport. So, again, I would rather have full season, but I don't hate this idea. I will say, I've seen this, as everything in NASCAR is nowadays 50-50. People may like this, people may hate this. It's like, oh, this is great. This is the worst thing in the world. If NASCAR didn't come out and say that full season was actually on the table a couple months ago, I really think a lot more people, I think this would be an overwhelmingly positive change. Because no one, at least I can vouch for myself, I can say that I didn't think that full season was ever going to be back on the table. So we were all just hoping for at least a chase format, which is end up what we got. When NASCAR came out and said, oh yeah, full season is on the table for these meetings, at that point you basically said, oh, so we can do this. And of course we ended up not doing it, but it's the fact that it was on the table, and the fact that that was announced that full season was on the table. Come, wait, stop chewing on my slips. But yeah, it's the fact that the fact it was on the table. And that's what majority of people want anyway. Yes, in my opinion, and I've at least seen half of the fan base, which is more than what I thought I would see. That, okay, we'll take it. But it's the fact that, again, full season was actually on the table. We were actually close to having full season. And we still didn't get it. Because, again, I feel like majority... You guys tell me in the comments, did you guys think that full season was ever really on the table? I didn't. So, again, when they announced it was on the table, NASCAR kind of put themselves in a corner where it's like full season or bust. And when they didn't go full season, you're going to have more backlash than I think they would have had otherwise. I think they shouldn't have announced full season, at least publicly. Maybe Mark Martin or I think it was Dale Jr. who said full season was on the table. But I don't think that should have been publicly announced, me personally. The cutoff to the chase is very pointless. I wish they would have given even more points for winning, but I'm glad they added more in general. Also, no championship race, thank God. I will drink to that. I didn't think full season was possible, but man, it sucks. Those hopes and dreams got crushed. I think we'll be fine. So, the reason I didn't go live during the announcement itself, well, number one, I just wasn't home then. I was getting my business cards. I was getting my business cards cut out for my other job. But so I was on my way home. But number two, I wanted to wait for as much information to come out as possible. And I figured it's better to wait till after the live stream NASCAR had was, fully released. That way, if there's any questions that we didn't have, that we had, we can, hopefully get some answers. One of the reasons I say that is because my biggest question was, what's going on with stages? Are we still having stage points? Are we having playoff points? Or I guess chase points? Like, what's going on with that? Well, that was announced, after everything was all said and done. They said, we are still going to have playoff. We are still going to have stage points, but we're not going to have playoff. What is my dog? Kamui, what are you doing? This is what I get for having a dog. This is what I get for having a dog.
Hi, buddy. Hi, you want to say hi to everybody? I can't carry you because you're so big now. Maybe when you were a smaller puppy.
Here. Come up here. Here. There he is. There he is. You can see his snout. But yeah, so we are still going to have stage points, but we're not going to have playoff points anymore. That I don't 100% agree with. I still would have rather us have playoff points or stage or chase points, whatever you want to call it. But just because, it's like, yeah, I mean, let's take a look right here. So first place has, the X amount of points, 25-point advantage over second, who has a 10-point advantage over third, and then it just goes on 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all the way down to 16. Which, by the way, the fact that first has a 100-point advantage, the fact that NASCAR allowed a 100-point advantage, I'm surprised they did that, and I'm also happy they did that. Which is also funny because hypothetically, 16th at the end of Daytona could be within 100 points, and now, his gap was actually increased. But again, take what you could get. So, keep looking for my dog. But yeah, so, like, let's say, for example, second place won 8 stages, and fourth place won 2. Well, it's a 15-point gap. But, like, let's say, for example, fourth place won 8 stages, and fifth won 2. The gap should be more than 5 points for me personally. So, like, I would have liked them to keep a semblance of playoff points or chase points, but again, whatever you want to call it. Because, again, I just think it reflects more on how you did throughout the entire season. But I think the separation of points for the playoff field, I like it. I think it's good enough. I like that first has a really nice cushion over second, as they should. Second has a decent cushion over third, too. So I like that the top 2 are kind of separated from the rest of the field. Third down to 16th, from a... My dog just whining? I think I just... Kamui, are you whining? What? What? Hold on, guys. Dog daddy, I think he wants to get out of the room. He doesn't want to be in front of the camera anymore. Alright. Get out. Scram. What? Okay. You can go on the bed then. This is what I get for having a dog. But, yeah, so, I mean, again, I think this is solid enough. Like, it's good. Like, personal preference aside, I think this is really about as good as you could get. I thought full season was extremely unlucky till last year's championship race ended the way it did. So winners in the regular season won't get a spot in the 16th. Well, they will get a spot in the 16 if they're in the top 16. If they're not in the top 16, they won't get a spot. It's that simple. Yep. No. Yep. Winning you're in is gone. Which, thank the Lord, we won't have these. Sorry if these are your favorite drivers, and I'm insulting them, but we won't have the SVGs just farming road course races to take a playoff spot. We won't have Austin Cindric winning one plate race and locking himself into the playoffs. We won't have who's another guy? Austin Dillon just turning it to Dale Sr. at Richmond and lock himself into the playoffs. One thing I like is, all right, if you're going to have a playoff system, you have to make it feel like it's earned. And I really felt like it was frustrating as well. Because with the playoffs, if they would have just done this from the get-go, guys, 14th through 19th of points is always super close and super tight. That would be a points battle all the way till Daytona. That would be thrilling. Not 10th through 13th, or the gap in points is like 50 or 60 plus, and no one really cares unless someone wins. And not only is this artificial, but like, look at this format. Look, just go back and look at all the regular season points at race 25. You'll see like 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, they're all separated by like 30 points. That's not a lot, from separating the four from each other. And we're going to see that again this year. Remember when I told you, like 10th to like 30th, or like 10th to like 25th, is all really close to each other. You could really swap any of them at will. You're going to see that this year with the chase. Especially because we still have 16 drivers, which again, I still think that's too much, but hey, that's the trend of sports nowadays. More playoff spots, so I'd rather keep 16 than 20. And there goes my drink. It is done. Is the Xfinity fastest lap point still a thing? I don't think they announced that just yet. Finally, we have an answer for two who let the dogs out. Rest in peace, Cody Ware's playoff hopes. I didn't know we had any. Oh, but yeah, that is my thoughts just overall. Again, if I had to go, like, let's break it off into positive and negative. Positive. Consistency matters more again. Thank goodness winning you're in is gone. And you got more points for winning the race. And again, for the first time in a long time, I feel positive in the sports direction. This, is it what I personally wanted? No, I would have rather we gone the full season. But again, I'm not mad. I'm satisfied. I'm happy with this decision. I feel like the sport is finally heading in a positive direction. Negative, still hate that we have to have some sort of postseason. And again, if you're going to award more points in the first place, you kind of defeat the purpose of the initial reason, but, that's, again, my opinion. Overall, I'd say I'll give it a 90%. Again, I give it a 90%. I have very few just inherent problems besides the obvious. Most of them, I think, are positive. Let's go to the 2004 Chase is back. I am so excited because this is what I actually grew up with back in 2005 when I first started watching NASCAR. This is from Kid Latin 27. Welcome to the stream, my man. And winning your in thing is gone and you get more points. All right, so that's pretty much the gist of it. For now, again, no more winning you're in. Top 16 in the regular season make it. A race win is no longer guaranteed automatic entry. Winning you're in is no more. And then, of course, the separation of points. So, before we go, I don't like to take up all you guys' time, which I want to play a game. And, of course, I have to disable my ad blocker, even though it should have already been disabled, but they want to enable it. I want to play a game. We are going to go to the standings. And what we are going to do is I'm going to go through notable drivers in the field. And you'll see what I mean by that as we go through. I'm going to explain whether this change in the format helps or hurts their chances at winning a championship. So we'll go through again. Noticeable drivers. What do I mean by that? I'm not going to say guys like Cody Ware or Riley Herbst or like Todd Gilliland, because it's like, obviously this hurts their chances. Like, there's no way of sugarcoating that. Whether it's due to equipment or just lack of talent. So, and there are a couple drivers here that I think I'm going to give some answers here you're going to find intriguing. So let's start off here with Kyle Larson. Contrary to popular belief, because no one thinks of Kyle Larson as the consistent driver. They think of him as checkers or records, feast or famine. He's either going to win by 5 seconds or he's going to wreck out on lap 5. But I actually do think that Kyle Larson will benefit from a chase format. Why do I say that? I think that this is going to kind of force Larson to not go 110% every single lap. Because it's not like, guys, Larson, we know. Where do you usually see the 5 car? Either in first, top 5, or top 10. Very rarely outside the top 10, and very, very rarely outside the top 20 unless he crashes. And usually when Larson crashes, it's because he's pushing himself too hard. I think this is going to force Larson to kind of just take what he can get. If he is running second, if he's running second 3/10 back, he's going to be more enticed to say 3/10 back as opposed to trying to make up 3/10 in 2 laps and then wrecking and then causing a caution. Because we know Larson's got the speed. We know he's probably going to take advantage more than anyone else from those 55 points for winning a race. And we've seen he can be very, very consistent. 2021, he had 26 top 10s and led the series of top 10s and second in average finish. Even this year, look at it. 22 top 10s. Top 3 in the series, I believe. 13th place average finish. Very, very consistent. Larson is capable of being one of the most consistent drivers in the field, and he has shown that. I think this format is going to force him to be that way. More so than checkers or records, where you could get away with that in the old format. I won't spend too long on all the drivers because we have so many to go through. Denny Hamlin. You know what? Hot take. I think this hurts Hamlin. Denny really hasn't been consistent since 2021, where he led the series, I think, in top 10s. Or no, I said Larson did. I think Denny actually had more top 10s than Larson that year, but he led the series in top 10s, I believe. I know he definitely led an average finish. In the next gen era, he's been anything but consistent. I mean, just look, yeah, he has the most wins, but I mean, 18 top 10s, that's not great. 4 DNFs, average finish solid, 13.9, but if you look at the full season points, he would have finished like 6th or 7th. So Denny is someone who knew how to win at the right time. And he had a lot of races last year where he was just bad. Now, most of them were road course races, but he had a few last year where he was bad. And no Gabe Hart, lawsuit, fatigue maybe, 45 years old. I think that this change in format. Denny might personally like this just as a driver, a pure racer, but hot take, I think this hurts Hamlin. Chase Briscoe, I think this helps Briscoe. He seems like a guy who could be, I think at the end of last year, he showed he could be very consistent. He can win when he has to. I think Briscoe would have succeeded in any format, whether it was full season, chase, or winning you're in. Briscoe, I think it's either or, maybe slightly better chance. William Byron, kind of the same thing as Briscoe. I think he could do it either way. He's made the Final Four 3 years in a row. He's shown he can be consistent. Yeah, he kind of teetered off after he won Iowa, but he's shown he can be consistent. He won the regular season championship. I really do think William Byron will benefit from having a full season. Christopher Bell is someone who I definitely think will benefit from having a full season as well. I mean, just look at the stats. 4 wins, 13 top 5s, 22 top 10s. He didn't lead a lot of laps, but he was running top 5, top 10, finishing there as well. 3 DNFs, one of the fewest in the series. So I think that Bell is someone who can very much succeed in this type of format as well. Ryan Blaney. 9 times out of 10, I think he can. 8 DNFs really saved him. With the format saved him this year in a sense of he finished 6 in points as opposed to probably having finished like down here just due to the DNFs. But I think last year was an outlier due to all the mechanical failures. I think Penske will figure it out in terms of the reliability. Blaney's the fastest forward in the field right now. I think it'll continue to stay that way, and I think Blaney will benefit from this format. Also, he's shown he can win. He won 4 races last year. Here's the first driver that I'm confident could say that this will hurt him. Joey Logano. Logano has not been consistent since his 2022 campaign, where 23 he was way inconsistent, bounced out of the round of 16, probably deservingly so. Last year shouldn't even made the playoffs, let alone been champion, and this year the same thing. 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s. Yeah, he led a decent amount of laps, but 4 DNFs, kind of on the higher end as well. And we know Logano, yeah, he was better this year, but not really by much. He got 3 less wins, same amount of top 10s, less top 5s, I believe, as a matter of fact. He's just not a consistent driver nowadays. He's someone who can pop off for a win or 2 here or there, maybe 4, but other than that, he's not consistent. And it's not like he's not consistent in the sense of he runs well and then just finishes bad. He just barely runs well nowadays. So and more emphasis on consistency, I think he can still make the playoffs because, again, he's better than 16th. But I think this hurts Logano greatly. Chase Elliott, he's the poster boy for consistency nowadays. Chase benefits from it. I really don't need to explain anymore. Tyler Reddick, I think last year I feel like was a little bit of an outlier, winless, kind of on the back end of top 10s, but I think this can help Reddick consistently. He's usually a consistent guy. I think last year was an outlier for Reddick. Lawsuit, championship 4 hangover, things like that. This is a guy who won a regular season championship, might I add, just a year ago. Well, I guess 2 now. This is a format I think would benefit Reddick. Ross Chastain, I think it hurts Chastain. Not even necessarily due to Ross himself. I think Ross himself can be consistent. It's Trackhouse. Can they find the speed that they had back in 22-23? Because if you look at the stats here, it would suggest that I should say this would hurt him. If Trackhouse can figure it out again, I think this would benefit Chastain. Bubba Wallace, I think this is a guy who can sneakily really benefit from this format. Bubba has really gotten more and more consistent as the years go on. His biggest problem has never been that he can't run well. His biggest problem is he just couldn't win. He fixed that last year with the Brickyard. And look at this. I didn't even know he had this many DNFs. He had 9 DNFs last year? Oh, goodness. Oh, dear. I didn't even know that. Wow. So you got to imagine, even if he cuts that down in half, he gets 5 DNFs, 4 DNFs. You're going from 11th to at least probably up to here, 5th, 6th, 7th. Bubba has sneakily been one of the most consistent drivers in the field. And again, I think with a format like this is going to force guys to kind of just take what they can get. Still go 100, but don't go 120 and wreck yourself and out the field. I think Bubba can really benefit from this format. Going to be interesting to see Cole Custer running in a Hendrick car at Haas. Ford and Toyotas are going to struggle. Hamlin and JGR lost Gabe Hart too. Oh, looks like we're going to have something here in just a moment. Bubba wrecked a lot during the late spring, early summer. I see. I'm going to take a little bit of a water break. Oh, here's someone who's definitely not going to benefit from this format. Shane Van Gisbergen. Look, I've been seeing a lot of people out there saying that Shane is going to surprise the world this year. Do I think he'll be better at ovals? Yes. Do I think that he's improved at ovals? Also, yes. But let me just ask you guys one question. Do you really think that Shane Van Gisbergen has improved enough? Like, I had a phone call with my buddy Sean. Sean, if you're watching this, I'm going to spill our conversation. Where he was telling me how the field is not going to catch up to Shane Van Gisbergen in terms of speed at road courses. He's still going to win by double-digit seconds. So I was telling him, so you think that the field, who has some of the best drivers in the world, who can literally spend all offseason studying SVG's SMT data, you think they won't catch up to SVG, but you think that SVG is going to be good enough to not only run top 10 at ovals this year, but possibly even win an oval? I don't see it. Yes, I think SVG has improved. I know he's improved. Was I wrong about SVG last year? Yes. But then again, SVG had a lot of things go his way. His cars didn't break down. The strategies, besides Coda, were perfect. And things just fell his way. The law of probability states that's not going to happen 2 years in a row. So, and again, I don't think SVG has performed well, and I don't think he's going to perform well enough to point his way to be top 16. Exactly. Like 20, 30 points I think he can do. I don't think he's getting 16th. I'm just going to name you guys the drivers who I think will outpoint SVG this year. Larson, Hamlin, Briscoe, Byron, Bell. We're already at 5, so we still got 11 spots to fill. Blaney, the whole top 10. Bubba, that's 11. Bowman, Busher, we're at 13. Priest, Ty Gibbs, we're at 15. So SVG's got one more spot. Let me tell you, he's not going to get it because I think Brad Keselowski can outpoint him, and I think Kyle Busch can outpoint him. I think SVG at the highest would get 18th or 19th, and that is at the highest. Top 16? I'm sorry, maybe with the extra bonus, maybe with the extra points for winning, like he could take advantage of that at the road courses, but overall, sorry. This is, besides like the guys at the bottom, like your Cindrics, your Dillons, your Berries, this is the easiest one for me to say, yeah, this format change hurts him easily. He was getting noticeably better at ovals at the end of the year. I think there's a chance for SVG. There's a chance, NCS. Like, I'm not going to say there's not a chance. I just don't like the odds. I'm sorry. Bowman, I think this does help him. Bowman is he was very consistent. He can be very consistent. Even though he'll go on these very long cold streaks, I think with more emphasis on consistency and less on winning, still more on winning, but less than winning to an extent. Like, winning isn't the end-all, be-all, even though it should be because he's in a Hendrick car. I think that this format benefits Bowman. Remember, this is a guy who almost won the regular season championship a couple years ago. This is a guy who almost made the championship 4 a couple years ago as well. And he was a DNQ away from making the round of 8 last year, 2 years ago. Bowman, I think, benefits. I already talked about it briefly. Cindric, Dillon, Barry. I think these guys, all 3 of them, are the same. This hurts their chances at being a champion. They all really relied on winning you're in to make it. Barry had 8 top 10s, but he had less than that. Nice. Chris Buescher, kind of in that same vein as Bubba Wallace or Tyler Reddick. This is a guy who I think will benefit heavily from having a more consistent format. This is a guy who is always top 15 of points, but because he can't win in the regular season, he always gets knocked back down to 17th and out of the playoffs. I think that this is a format that will help Buescher, and this will make people see Chris Buescher in a new light. I'm telling you this right now. Jalen, if you're watching this, you're going to like what I'm about to say. You're going to be more accustomed to seeing Buescher around this point in the standings rather than here. Mark my words for the 17. Kind of in the same vein for Ryan Preece, but not to the same extent as Buescher. I don't think Preece will be up here. I think he'll be closer to here. But Preece, kind of the same vein as Buescher, maybe to a little less of an extent. Ty Gibbs is a wild card. Ty Gibbs is a really big wild card. He ended last year solid enough to make me want to think he can figure it out. But man, I mean, just I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go on slightly yes for Ty Gibbs. This will benefit him, but I mean, if he performed like he wasn't even close to the top 16 last year, that's the problem. Like, look at it, only 94 stage points in a JGR car. 94. I don't know. Brad Keselowski, if he can avoid just a catastrophic start to the season like he did last year, I think this will benefit him. I think the veteran guys, it will benefit them more so than not. Same thing with Kyle Busch at RCR. You know, Kyle Busch nowadays is usually hovering around here anyway, so kind of in the same vein of Brad, I'm going to say this is going to benefit Busch. Veteran driver, he's not going to be so, he's not going to try to push it maybe as hard. Maybe he still will because he'd like to end his almost 3-year-long winless streak now, but I think this format will benefit Busch and Brad Keselowski as well. McDowell, Hocevar, I mean, now we're just getting into like most of these guys, like I mentioned, like they're not going to benefit. This is what I mean by the kind of the notable guys. Like I think McDowell hurts Hocevar, hurts Eric Jones, Nemechek, Allmendinger, you name it. Everyone down here is going to hurt. And then, of course, you got Connor Zillage. Who in the chat mentioned that? Someone in the chat mentioned Zillage. It was Dash. Zillage, I think, has a chance at a top 20 finish. Yeah, so I think Zillage... The problem with Zillage is he's a rookie. So I don't want to go so far as to predict how rookies are going to perform. I'm usually on the side of, don't hold rookies to that high of a standard because, then when they don't perform or let's say we say Zillage is going to finish top 20 points, he finishes 22nd. Yeah, that's probably where we should have expected him to finish given he's a rookie in a Trackhouse car. So I'll say Zillage is going to hurt him because he probably would have to rely on a road course win to make the playoffs. I think he can be consistent, but again, he's a rookie. I don't want to put that kind of expectation on him. I don't like putting an expectation on a rookie. Make the playoffs, bud. That's just not fair to me. Boycott NASCAR Chase. Boycott UST Morning TV. I don't know what you're talking about, Paulie, but well, boycott NASCAR Chase, I understand that. Boycotting the other one, Paulie, I don't know what you're talking about. But there you go. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think the Chase benefits or the championship format change? Who do you think it benefits and who do you think it hurts? If I had to say who it benefits the most versus who benefits and then who hurts the most, who benefits the most, I would say Chase Elliott or Christopher Bell. Who it hurts the most, I'm going to go with Shane Van Gisbergen. But that's all I have. Let's see in the chat here real quick if there's anything else. And again, if you guys want to take a look more at the details, head over to dailydownforce.com. We got all sorts of stories, you name it. Obviously, we got this one. NASCAR's Chase is back. So go to dailydownforce.com and check that out for yourself. Benefits the HMS boys for sure. Hurts Penske the most. Yeah. I don't think it hurts Blaney though. I think Blaney will be fine regardless. But other than that, that's going to do it for me here, guys. Again, just kind of a, stream. Talk about the format change. Know I wanted to do this. And, yep, here we are. I'm happy with the format change. Again, I would have preferred full season, but take what you can get. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys know I would do. The cut line will be back this year. I'm still trying to see, because other job pending, if I'm going to go to the Daytona 500 this year. I'll let you guys know in the Daily Downforce Discord. I know I haven't been as active on there as I would like to be, but trying to, fix that as well. Trying to be a little more active in the off season. But thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. If you guys could, for me, please like this stream, subscribe to the Daily Downforce YouTube channel. That helps me out a ton. Again, the cut line will come back. And I know a few months ago someone asked me, will the name of the show change if there was a full season or a change in the format? No, the name of the format isn't going to the name of the show isn't going to change. Number one, it's a fire name. Number two, there is still a cut line. It's just now between 16th and 17th. And number three, Chris, if you're watching this, your graphics are awesome, and I don't want to put those graphics to waste, just, only using them for 1 year. So yeah. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, again, the cut line will be back. If I do go to Daytona, the first episode will be the Clash. Well, the first episode is going to be the Clash regardless. Depending if I go to Daytona or not, will be if there's a 500 episode or not. But thank you guys so much again for tuning in. As always, I've said it already 4 or 5 times. Check out dailydownforce.com as well for all sorts of great content we got over there, whether it's mini games, articles, other shows, you name it. Check us out over there. I will probably have a few more streams as well, just streaming a few more of the Ask a Truck races that I do. I know next week, or this coming Friday actually, we are racing at Knoxville in the dirt. I've never driven a dirt race on iRacing in my life, and I'm about to do my first one in a league race. That might be one I have to stream, because that's going to be that'll be entertainment. That'll be more entertaining than the elimination round. I'll tell you that much. But thank you guys so much for tuning in as always, and we will see you in the next one. And because I don't have a thanks for watching for the no cautions given graphics, I'm going to use the thanks for watching for the cut line.